Have you ever noticed how your spending changes the moment you enter a relationship? Suddenly, things you never cared about before start feeling important. Dinner dates, gifts, surprises, trips, even your everyday spending quietly increases. And the strange part, you don't always realize it's happening. You just feel like, this is normal. But here's the truth. You don't just spend money in relationships. You spend emotions, identity, and psychology. And once you understand why, you'll start seeing your financial behavior in a completely different way. When you enter a relationship, your brain doesn't stay the same. It shifts. Chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin increase, the same ones linked to pleasure, bonding, and reward. This means spending money on your partner doesn't feel like losing money. It feels like gaining connection, buying a gift. You feel good. Paying for dinner. You feel generous. Planning a surprise. You feel excited. Your brain starts associating spending, sun, or love. And that's where it begins. Because now, money is no longer just money. It becomes a tool for emotional expression. At the start of most relationships, there's one silent pressure. I want to be liked. And to achieve that, people naturally try to present the best version of themselves. You dress better. You speak more carefully. You act more thoughtfully. And yes, you spend more. You choose better restaurants. You give thoughtful gifts. You pay for things you normally wouldn't. Not because you're trying to show off, but because you want to be seen as caring, capable, attractive, valuable. Spending becomes a subtle way of saying, I'm worth being with. The danger? If this becomes your identity, you start tying your value to your spending. Relationships don't exist in isolation. They're shaped by society, culture, and expectations. Think about it. Birthdays, gifts. Anniversaries, celebrations. Valentine's Day, expensive gestures. Weddings, big spending. Even social media plays a role. You see other couples posting fancy dinners, luxury vacations, perfect gifts. And subconsciously you start thinking, should I be doing more? This creates comparison-driven spending. You're not just spending for your partner. Anymore, you're spending to meet an invisible standard. And the problem with invisible standards? They have no limit. In relationships, emotions are stronger. And stronger emotions lead to more impulsive decisions. For example, you had an argument. You buy something to make it up. Your partner feels sad. You spend money to cheer them up. You feel guilty. You compensate with gifts. This is called emotional spending. And it's dangerous because you're not thinking logically. You're reacting emotionally. Money becomes a quick fix for emotional discomfort. But here's the truth. Money can't solve emotional problems. It can only temporarily mask them. When you're single, your mindset is simple. My money is my money. But in a relationship, something changes. You shift from me to we. And this changes how you justify spending. You start thinking, this is for us. We deserve this. It's our experience. Even if the expense is unnecessary, it feels justified because it's shared. This is powerful, but also risky, because shared spending often leads to less accountability, more impulsive decisions, blurred financial boundaries. You stop asking, do I need this? And start asking, would we enjoy this? Here's something most people won't admit. Sometimes spending is driven by fear. Fear of not being enough, disappointing your partner, losing the relationship. So what do people do? They overcompensate. They give more, spend more, try harder. Because deep down they believe, if I don't do this, I might lose them. This creates a dangerous cycle. The more insecure you feel, the more you spend. And the more you spend, the more your self-worth becomes tied to it. Relationships often lead to lifestyle upgrades. You don't just live your life anymore. You upgrade it together. For example, you start going out more. You try new experiences. You travel more. You dine at better places. Individually, you might not spend like this, but together, it feels natural. This is called relationship lifestyle inflation. And it's subtle, because it doesn't feel like overspending. It feels like living better. But over time, these small upgrades turn into big financial pressure. Gift giving is one of the biggest spending drivers in relationships. At first, it's simple, a small surprise, a thoughtful gesture. But over time, expectations grow. What did they get me? Is this enough? Should I do more next time? Now gifting becomes a competition of effort. And sometimes, people don't give because they want to. They give because they feel they have to. This turns something meaningful into something stressful. By now you might be thinking, okay, but why doesn't this feel like a problem when it's happening? Because it's gradual. You don't suddenly start spending double. It increases slowly. A slightly better restaurant, a slightly bigger gift, a slightly more expensive plan. And because each step feels small, you don't notice the total impact. Until one day you realize your spending habits have completely changed. Here's the part most people miss. The cost of overspending in relationships isn't just financial, it's psychological. You may start to feel financial stress, pressure to maintain a lifestyle, anxiety about expectations, resentment if effort feels unequal, and sometimes money becomes a source of conflict. What started as love-driven spending turns into tension. Spending more in relationships isn't a mistake. It's human. It comes from love, connection, desire, emotion. But the problem starts when spending becomes a way to prove your worth, a way to avoid conflict, a way to meet expectations, a way to replace real communication. Because at that point, you're not just investing in the relationship. You're losing control of your financial behavior. A healthy relationship isn't built on how much you spend. It's built on understanding, communication, emotional security. Money should support your relationship, not define it. So next time you feel the urge to spend, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of pressure, fear, or habit? Because that one question can completely change your financial future.